I call the concept of the desensitization of the New Age as spiritual cyanide, but actually I think it's even more dangerous than that, because when one's taking cyanide, you know that you're taking poison. Mm-hmm. The problem with this new spirituality that has seeped into secular, humanistic American society is that people don't realize that it's spiritual poison. And the way it's been marketed is to make oneself better, and everything inside of us as human beings, we want to be better people. We strive for achievement, we strive for higher grades, we strive for to do our best. And the same thing happens spiritually, but the way that spirituality is being packaged in America is not being done in a religious way. So for instance, in corporations or businesses, they are putting forward a spiritual concept to businessmen and corporate America by inviting the hierarchy to go for better management courses. But actually, those better management courses are spiritual self-hypnosis and indoctrination into a whole Eastern worldview, into a whole spiritual concept that is contrary to biblical traditional values. So people don't understand that they're being spiritually indoctrinated. Take, for instance, a modern phenomenon that's happening through Harry Potterism, that the schools in America, and in fact globally, around the world, the Harry Potter books are being promoted as reading good literature, children's literature, fantasy literature, in schools across the nation, across the world as well. The books have been translated into over into over 48 languages and distributed through 200 countries. The global child is becoming desensitized to witchcraft, because Harry Potter is a witch, but witchcraft is now being packaged as a child's religion. This was an adult religion at one point, because it's a fertility cut. The whole concept of witchcraft is a fertility religion, a religion based on feminism and fertility rights. So to bring children of a low age into an awareness of spirituality, which is associated with sorcery, divination, interpretation of omens, rituals and ceremonies connected to nature worship and paganism, deeply rooted in occultism, the concept of communicating with the dead, which Harry Potter does with his dead parents who come in and out of his dreams and visions and help him in his enterprises, and the concept that dead people can be seen by children, so the whole concept of the dead being with them. These are concepts of reincarnation. Also spirit possession. Harry Potter's friends in the books are possessed by what the Bible calls demon possession. But in the books, it's being made child-friendly. So here we have the dark arts of tantric yoga, or dark black magic, which I grew up in India, where I had a fear. I mean, there was a built-in fear. Even the people of India know that there's a fear that comes with playing around or not being well discipled and grounded in the dark arts, the black arts of Hinduism. And yet, here in the West, young children are being introduced to occultism and witchcraft through the school system, sanctioned by teachers reading it aloud in the classroom. So the authority is there, the role models are reading it out to the children. They are getting religion, whether they like it or not. Eastern mysticism, occultism, dark black magic, the mystery religions. They are being taught yoga, but it's a new yoga. Harry Potter does yoga, but it's called concentration. It's internal hypnosis, the same thing that the businessmen are being taught. But it's being done through the children in the classrooms, as the business, corporate America is being taught yoga for becoming better, for finding your human potential, for coming inside yourself, being able to tap into the force in you to become a better human being. So this is what I mean by spiritual cyanide.
Let me ask you this now. Do you think it is intentional, like in the business world? Do you think that there are people who know what they're doing when they implement these Eastern philosophies into a teaching program for businessmen or into the educational system for children, do you think it's intentional, or are they being spiritually seduced without knowing it?
I think we would be very naive if we thought there wasn't a intentional purpose behind desensitizing all of us into a worldview that is opposed to what our designer intended for us to think. Now, it could be a deception on various levels. It's certainly intentional from a spiritual point of view, because we know who the enemy of God is, and that is Satan himself, who wants very much for man to stay away from the power that has been given to man in his communication and fellowship with God. And Satan wants to take that for himself. He wants to be able to control and keep man in bondage so that he can possess him physically on earth and eternally in hell. So on a spiritual point of view, it is definitely intentional, because we know that Satan's character is to destroy, kill, deceive. He's the father of lies. And his intention is to take man away from fellowship with God. We saw that in the Garden of Eden, where the Bible shows that he came to the two most perfect people. Well, the one, Eve, who eventually went to her husband Adam. She was perfect. She was created in God's image and likeness with no sin. Yet he was able to deceive her, pull her away from her fellowship with God, and she in turn went to her husband. And here we are, decades later, in the holds of sin. And it needed God himself to step back into the world to give us the opportunity of coming back into a broken fellowship with him through the blood of his son, Jesus Christ. So in that sense, it's intentional. Now we also have a hierarchy of elitists who are steeped in the mystery religions, who want power. A very modern, a modern embodiment of that would be Hitler, who brought about the Second World War because he wanted power. He was in an occult mystery religion, and he believed that the Aryan super race could take over the world. So here we have political leaders who somehow are deceived through their involvement in mystery religions and the occult, and they are being used by elitists that want power and the political maneuvering of people to bring in people under subjection and control. Now, the one thing with the New Age, which is very interesting, you see, if we start going on to a concept of that is any one group more important than the other, no, it isn't. 2 decades ago, when I made the film Gods of the New Age, the New Age directory had over 10,000 networking organizations that were all working together. And if any one of them became an embarrassment to them, as Jim Jones, who was of the People's Temple, who had hundreds of his followers commit suicide, he was part of this New Age directory, working towards a super race and trying to work through becoming better through human potential techniques, etc., etc. But when he was an embarrassment